So I would like you to talk about storytelling for impact. How can a story change the world? And what is the importance of us, you and I, and all these storytellers around the world? Why are we important, and how can we change the world? How can an image or a story change the world? You can share a particular experience, the concept behind. It's pretty an open question, like many of my questions. So I want you to do your own interpretation.
Sure thing. Sure thing. Well, I am generally dubious that you can go out and do a single picture story and the world will change because you did it. I'm kind of dubious about that. That happens sometimes, but not a lot. And I can think of all the stories that I've done, that I can think of a couple of cases where some things did change because we did the story. I can almost say directly, this thing happened. I think what is much more likely is that we enter into the conversation about something that needs attention. We enter into the conversation by telling these stories. We reinforce what people have said before. We inspire people who will say it again. and by so doing, we add our voices. I think it's more likely that the collection of voices adds up than I am that one voice is the catalyst. So I think it's hugely important to become knowledgeable about the stories, to tell compelling stories, compelling simply so that people will pay attention, for one thing, and that are important. Now, they aren't necessarily the same thing. Just because they are a compelling story that is interesting doesn't mean it's about something that matters in our world. So the ideal is you do it about both things. And one example I can use is that the story that we did on the Colorado River for National Geographic. And one of my great sources for that was Mark Reisner, who did the book, The Cadillac Desert, not a picture book, but The Cadillac Desert. And he basically, he laid out all the water issues. And it was all there. Yeah, man, it was all there. And I could just basically go through his book and find all these issues explained to me and start cataloging the things that were important about water on the Colorado River. So I piggybacked straight off of his work. And we did that. And then we did the book, A River Dammed, a photo book, which then got referenced by other photographers who have done books since then as well. And all of us have basically been telling the same story. My book was 30 years ago. Thankfully, other people have come along and done pretty much the same story, updated, enhanced, with better cameras, in different mediums, but they keep coming back to the same story. And it's a very important story because this is all about water in the American Southwest that's very precious, is running out. Climate change is making it even more important. So all of those people have entered into this conversation, and that knowledge, I think, can add up. So I think that's hugely important. Give credit to it. Give credit to your sources, and be generous with the people who want to follow. That's the other side of it. If somebody comes to you and says, "I'm doing a work on the Colorado River," and I say, "Okay, yeah, I could tell you a few things if you're interested in knowing," and here's where you go. Here's where you go. Here's who you call, and here's how you can get it done. And here is what I didn't get done, and you should. You can do that as well. Those kind of processes, I think, have very great power. They have very, very great power, and I think that's I think it's a worthy thing to do. So I'm glad that some of our stories have been those kind of things where we made a contribution. I don't think any of them particularly triggered anybody to stop doing something tomorrow. That's always kind of the ideal, but no, it doesn't happen very much.
Life is normally slightly different from what we conceive initially. So